We're live. Anthony Belcuri, happy post-Thanksgiving. You do not look like you're at home today.
I am at home.
Huh, strange.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality. Hey, everybody. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. Of course, we got Mr. Anthony Belcuri right over there, and I am Mr. Glenn Hausman. So great to see you, Anthony.
You know what's interesting? You know, we were talking, you and I, for like 5 minutes off camera, and everything was perfect. The sound was perfect. And now you hear me well? I don't really hear you that well.
Maybe, I should talk louder because everybody says, Glenn, you're too shy, you're too quiet, you don't really enunciate. So maybe we need to do a little bit more of that today.
You know what I'm going to do, my friend? Maybe you can tease the audience of where I am. I'm going to leave the studio, and I'm going to come right back. How's that?
Well, we will do that. Leave right now, but I'm going to say welcome aboard Best Buy. Thank you so much for supporting the No Vacancy live show. So I'm very excited because Best Buy is a business leader in providing technology solutions for hotels. And of course, they carry all the major brands of hospitality TVs at great prices. They've got more than 4,000 Geek Squad agents as well, and they can tackle any job size anywhere in the country, and their business project managers will coordinate everything and make sure the installation of TVs is totally hassle-free. They'll even take away your old stuff and recycle it for you. And they do a lot more. They also do patio furniture, room sanitizing solutions, a whole myriad of things. Go check out bestbuy.com/hospitality to learn more and connect with a dedicated hospitality expert. Anthony, I didn't have a chance to tease it. I was too excited about Best Buy.
Guess where I was in Best Buy? Guess where I was on, I think it was Friday? I don't know. I was in Best Buy. I had to get some equipment, and I went to Best Buy, and it worked. I made my garage a theater for the winter for my kids, so I put heat and stuff in it. Again, it's not like, don't think like a man cave or she cave. It's a garage that's been converted into a
kid cave,
a winterized movie theater. So it looks kind of cool, but it's not what you think. It doesn't have a sink in the bathroom and stuff. But so I went to Best Buy for some last minute things, and guess what? I found it.
That's awesome. I'm really glad that you found that. But Anthony, I've still got this nagging feeling that you're not at home. Things look a little bit different, and I smell like maybe you're in Las Vegas. Is that possible?
Why would you say I'm in Las Vegas?
I don't know, Anthony. I have a feeling something gave it away. Maybe looking at the Aria Hotel over there gave it away. You, of course, are staying at the Nomad as we speak right now, which is why you got the great view of that MGM property across the way. Anthony, how cool is it that you are in Las Vegas right now?
I tell you, every time I come to the Nomad, they hook.
Yeah, they certainly do.
I'm going to turn it around like that.
Yeah, look at that bathtub.
I come in last night.
Yeah.
And they have Sinatra playing for me on a record player. Does anybody know what that is?
Look, Sinatra at the Sands. There's a little bit of light coming on it, but it's with the Count Basie Orchestra, produced by Quincy Jones. How amazing is that? and a bottle of Johnny Walker Black. That's not something that you would normally have. Really interesting. What a beautiful place, Anthony.
I haven't had my vitamins this morning.
Looking good. Look at this bathroom. Absolutely beautiful. So what
it reminds me of, look at these light switches. Now, just for those people who have not in the hotel business, putting in light switches like this from the early 1900s was very expensive, but it was a very important part of the Nomad standard.
Right.
And it was expensive, but they did it, and it's absolutely beautiful, and it makes a difference. I mean, look at this. It feels like Frank Sinatra and Marilyn Monroe and Humphrey Bogart all hanging out here.
Yeah, wow.
And of course, my bathtub's in my living room.
Well, it's Vegas. That's kind of sexy, Anthony.
Yeah.
I love it. And we love the Nomad Hotel. So why would they go and spend all of that extra money for one little tiny detail? Tell us a little bit about how those little details really make the big difference for the guests without them even understanding it.
Well, as one of my designers on my show said, the little details are the big things. And so when you look at this room, it's beautiful. I mean, I love the wood floors. I walk around with no socks on, which I never do, but here I always do. I love the furniture. Everything's comfortable, but it's a nice room. It's a really nice room. And, anybody can put in furniture and put in wood floors and put in the right paint. But when you see those switches, when you see the color in the shower, like I was looking at the color in the shower this morning, I was like, well, that's a color from the early 1900s.
Right.
It's like a mauve. I say mauve. One of my designers used to say mauve because I used to say mauve, but I don't think I say that. But anyway, so from the colors in the bathroom, which isn't a color I would use today. It's not a color I would use in my house today, but it's a color you would use in the turn of the century. And those knobs and the colors, that's what brings this to really what it feels like. That, like I said, Humphrey Bogart and Sinatra are going to come in. We're going to smoke cigars together.
Yeah, I love that, and the hotel is so great. But one thing I got to be honest with you that really cracks me up, Anthony, is that we're 20 years now into the 21st century, but we still say turn of the century to mean 19th into the 20th century over there. We got to figure.
Yeah, because we're old. And so Glenn asked me, why am I in Vegas and not California?
Yeah, because all last week you were like, I'm going to California. I'm going to get this site tour. We're going to get this project started. It's all going to happen. But you're several hundred miles short of your goal, aren't you there, Anthony?
Yeah, and I think my room service just came and they were very quiet. Thank you. And they did a good job. And what happened was, it's so funny. I'm working on this project and my team and I were going to go. I've been out there, but my team hasn't been out there. So in October, when there was the shutdown? In March. So in March, literally the day the world turned upside down, we were supposed to go out to California.
Right.
But literally leaving for the airport, and they said, "Hey, we got locked down." I said, "Okay." So now we've been talking Zoom and all that stuff, and so we're going to out again today. We're supposed to be there right now. So we were supposed to get on the plane yesterday. We were all Saturday night. We get a call and say, "Hey, we're locked out again. Can't come." So I'm supposed to do something here tomorrow. So I said, let me divert. I'll have my podcast. I'm actually getting ready for my meeting tomorrow with my team today via Zoom. And then tomorrow we'll have our meeting via Zoom here. And then I'm going to do my meeting, my other meeting here in Vegas. And then I'm going to fly out on the red eye. So listen, I jump on a plane. I put my mask on. I will tell you this. I wore my mask for 14 hours yesterday. My nose bled when I took my mask off last night. My nose
really?
My nose doesn't bleed. But that's it was like I didn't take my mask off, I don't think, for more than a minute in all those hours. And it was.
Well, Anthony, if you want to talk horrible stories due to masks, I got one for you. So
you know what? I was just saying, I wanted to talk about horrible stories due to masks.
Right. I mean, seriously, if you're not grossed out enough, this story is for you. So my nose has been stuffed for a couple of days, like really stuffed. I'm like, what's going on? Do I have a cold? Did I catch the COVID? I don't know what's going on with this all of a sudden. So finally, I'm blowing my nose. Nothing happens. I inhale deeply. Something goes into me. Goes into my lung. I cough, and it turns out there's a piece of fabric that must have come off the mask in my nose, lodged in my lung, and then came out. Absolutely disgusting, but I had no idea that could happen. So a little warning to everybody out there that, you can have some sort of, stuff going on your nose when you're breathing in with these masks all day long.
I only use a N95 mask. I put nothing else on my face. I have my own mask, but I only use that once in a while if we're doing the show.
Yeah, right.
Around the hotel. But I only use N95 masks. I don't use cloth masks. I like the way it stays on my face. And again, I'm not staying home. I'm traveling a little bit. But I'm being safe. Like Friday, Black Friday, I take my niece, my nephew, and my children out. And we went to American Dream. Joe and his team, thank you so much for hooking us up. Joe from Snow Operating, who's been on the show and is a friend of mine, hooked us up. We went there. We went to the Nickelodeon Amusement Park. If you have not been to American Dream in the amusement park, the Nickelodeon Amusement Park, I highly suggest it. It's not a kid's amusement park. It would be some of the scariest rides you've ever been on.
Anthony, in fact, they have, I believe, the steepest drop roller coaster in the entire country, if not the entire world, at this thing, which is incredible.
now I understand why my feet were in my throat.
They also have a massive indoor water park there, which I'd love to check out one day.
We didn't go to the water park. The kids didn't want to go to the water park. But we went to the amusement park, and then my girls, we have 5 girls between my nieces, my kids, and my nephew, and we went shopping, and I had no idea that the mall was this big. The people that own American Dream at the Meadowlands, right next to Giant Stadium, also own the Mall of America. Mm-hmm. And so they know how to run a mall. And I'll tell you something. There's something about this mall that felt very open, very airy, very fresh. There's only 25%, so it wasn't busy. Everybody was wearing masks. I got to tell you something. Everybody's wearing a mask. Everybody's doing the right thing. Everybody, when you walk in the stores, they sanitize your hand. They're making you wait outside if it's more than 25%. Everybody's respectful. Then we went to Central Park. We walked around Central Park, and we had a really nice time. And then we ate in our room. You know, we all got tested before we were together. My niece and nephew, and we went to the W in Hoboken, and they hooked me up beautifully again this year. And we had a beautiful sushi dinner. And we ate safely in our room. We didn't go into a restaurant, and it was a great weekend. And how was your Thanksgiving, my friend?
I laid low, my friend. I just kind of chilled out, relaxed, and went on several hikes. I must have walked something like 25 miles this weekend, but it felt good because the weather was so awesome, and I had some nice, quiet, contemplative time because we got to get our energies up, got to get focused, and all of that kind of good stuff.
Go ahead.
I was going to say our guest is in the process of signing on. He's been having some technical errors, but we're very close to having him on. Go on, Anthony.
I was just going to say today's the first time in history our guest didn't show up.
Nah, he's here. It's just had the wrong link or something like that. But before we bring on Raj, who I see is still getting a little set behind the scenes, good news. In October, the United States recorded its first positive month of profitability in the hotel business since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, according to our friends over at HotStats. The country reached gross operating profit per available room above zero, but it was only $5.43, still down 95.5% in profitability, but at least it's in the black. At least it's moving in the right direction. That makes me feel good, Anthony.
Yeah, and I would love to say that that's positive, which it is, but there's a lot of people below that mark.
Yes.
That is an average. That is not everyone. That's not every hotel. That's not every mom and pop. There's still a lot of hotels. 35% of our workforce is still out of. And I got to tell you something. I'm not going to get in a bad mood today because I'm in Vegas. But Congress, the Senate, they should all be ashamed of themselves. The executive branch should be ashamed of themselves. We need a stimulus. We need something today, not on January 20th. We need something today, and they're making this political. It is absolutely ridiculous what's happening in the country, and it's frightening. I talk about frightening, and I'm not talking about. I want to be careful here, but I was talking to a cab driver in Vegas last night, and let me just tell you something. I don't care what side of the political party you're on. This man, who seemed relatively intelligent, is 100% guaranteed that somebody went into the polls, opened up the voting machines, and I said, "You think they stole 8 million votes?" And he said this to me: "No, they stole a lot more than 8 million votes." And then I was like, "That's my destination. Can I get out now?" So I don't care what side of the political spectrum you're on. I don't really think that our voting apparatus and our government and our FBI and our Justice Department made sure there was a effort to steal over 10 million votes. But anyway, I found that fascinating. I don't care what side you're on.
All right. Yeah, it doesn't matter what side you're on here. Do you know international organization said this was indeed a safe election? A friend of the show, Melissa Sloan, is curious about your hotel room over there. Any voice technology, or can you control anything with your devices and stuff in there, Anthony?
Thank God. This is the hotel that was supposed to be open on the turn of the 20th century. And this was not. If there was an iPad on the wall, I think I'd be They have the switches from like 1900. It feels old. I don't like those iPads in rooms. I just personally don't. Like, I ordered room service this morning. I dialed 0. The lady picked up. She goes, "Hi, Anthony," with a beautiful European accent. She was just delightful. We had a 20-second conversation, and I wanted that. And then I don't want anything else. And now, as I'm doing my podcast, I asked them to just drop off my breakfast. I left the door open. They just dropped off my breakfast, and boom, everything's taken care of. I don't need an iPad. So this room In particular, at the Nomad, don't want it. Across other MGM properties, sure, I want it.
Yeah, like right across there at the aforementioned Aria, which has got great in-room technology.
And that's not one size fits all. This is not a hotel. My bathtub's in the living room of this hotel. That's where I want it because it's an old world. The bathtubs were in the living room in the turn of the century. So I love that. I love the feel of it. I love the wood floors with the area rugs. And so if there was an iPad in this room and a lot of technology in this room, it would completely throw me, and I wouldn't want it. I really wouldn't want it. I love the Nomad. I have to say it's my favorite hotel in America.
Wow, that is pretty serious. Hopefully, there'll be one more hotel that you're going to like a little bit more when you finish with that project.
When I finish with that project, there will be some elements, I guess, of all my travels. Mm-hmm. But what I love about this, and one of the things we're going to talk about going forward on this project, is a soul. This hotel has a soul. You know, people walk into the lobby like it's a little dark. Then go somewhere else. Like, that's the point. There wasn't a lot of light in the 1900s. Mm-hmm. Okay,
that's right.
So it is a little dark. It's a little kind of like it just feels really romantic, and it feels right. So there's a soul to this hotel that I always take with me, no matter what I'm doing, no matter what I'm working on. That reminds me of what a hotel should be when you're thinking of the early 1900s.
I'm not sure I've ever been to a hotel room that I felt had adequate light in it. So no. I'll just leave it at that.
No. This hotel has good lighting, but I'm a big hi-hat guy. But of course, they didn't have hi-hats in 1900. So there's no hi-hats, which it should be. There's a lot of lamps, which is perfect. But then I have this beautiful view of Vegas and this beautiful light. And listen, man, you come in, you got a bottle of scotch, you got Sinatra playing, you got a bathtub in your living room. They gave me some chocolates. They gave me a beautiful note, and I got this view. And I went to sleep like a baby. And I'm using, I searched. I'm a very resourceful person. I was like, I have my iPad, and I forgot my stand. So I need a stand. What am I going to use for my stand? So look what I've been using, because the Nomad.
How cool is that?
That is the stand that you use for the bathtub to put your towels and your soaps on.
Yeah.
And I said, let me use it for my for my stand. So the Nomad has everything. There's something, again, I can't go over and over about the Nomad. When I say it's my favorite hotel in the world, in America, this is what I say. It is not the most luxurious. It is not the biggest. It is something that speaks to me as a traveler, that it makes me feel like there's something I didn't do when I was a kid, when I was younger. When I was single, I didn't have my bachelor pad in New York. This feels like this is like something I would have had if I could have afforded it back, when I was growing up in this business in New York City. So it's like I feel like it's my loft. When I come to Vegas, they treat me like I have my own apartment. So that's why I just love the Nomad, and they always remember me. But I did do something. I hope they're listening or not listening. I don't know. But
now, speaking of listening, if you could speak a little louder, people in the chat rooms are saying that you're a little bit low.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to speak louder, but also in a second, take me out, put me on, put you on in one shot. Introduce our guest. I hope he's coming on.
He's here. We're ready to go.
Okay, so go ahead and do that. Take me out. I'm going to go put my headphones on, and maybe that'll help.
All right, sounds good. Boom. All right, everybody. I am standing in front of the La Quinta today, this one in Orlando, to celebrate our guest, Raj Trivedi, who used to be president of La Quinta before going off into the sunset to start his own thing. Raj Trivedi, how are you, my friend? It is so good to see you.
Glenn, so great to see you, my friend. Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you absolutely perfectly. So the last time I saw you, Raj, it was a different universe. We are in Las Vegas, where Anthony is right now, doing a super secret undercover project for a HOA. And no more than 2 weeks later, everything went south. But in that time, you've started this new business. You're doing investments. We'll talk about that as soon as Anthony pops back on when he gets his headphone set. But I'd like to start before we get into what you're doing today. I want to share a little bit about what your journey has been like, getting people to understand that there's so many great pathways in hospitality, and you came up through the franchise system, selling properties and doing really, really well for yourself at several companies.
Yes, I tell you what, fortunate enough to be a part of many great organizations. ability to start new brands. La Quinta happens to be one of those. When we started at La Quinta, we had 200 hotels. They were all company owned. Franchising for the first time in the history of the brand and took it to 1,000 properties with about 250 plus in the pipeline. Past history of working with Wyndham, then Ascendant, being a part of starting up new brands there as well. Being involved in real estate transactions of almost close to $1 billion plus, and brand acquisitions, taking company public, taking company private to public again. All of it has been a part of last 25 years plus in the hospitality industry, and I have enjoyed every second of it. And you are so correct how times have changed, how things have changed in the last few months. But, we are a resilient industry. We're going to come back stronger. We're going to come back and bring back the glory of our industry in full-fledged in a very near future.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, so I want to, before we bring back Anthony, let's see if Anthony's ready. I got the thumbs up. Anthony, meet Raj. Raj, meet Anthony Melchiori.
Hello, Raj. How are you?
Whoa, that is much better with the sound.
Anthony, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for being on the show. And to say what you go back to what Glenn just said, where people are trying to travel again. Going through the airport yesterday, you would have thought everybody was wearing a mask, but the airport was a little busy yesterday. It was great.
Yeah. So, Raj,
I'll tell you this, I could not agree with you more, Anthony. As you had stated earlier, that our government needs to act very quickly to assist our industry. And they need to come together to show truly they care for people, businesses in the industry for long-term success of our citizens.
Well, I think, I'm as red, white, and blue as they come. And we have the youngest country with the oldest constitution. So our constitution is a great one. But I think that this moment is telling us that we need some changes. We should not be held up because of political discourse, period. There should be some kind of legislation or amendment that just doesn't allow it during a crisis. So from a pandemic to economic crisis, where we have food lines, if you were in Europe, if you were in a different country watching America right now, I wouldn't imagine what that would feel like. And one of the reasons I feel it's important for me to travel, it's important for us to do the show, it's important for us to have people like you on, is because to show that America is going to come back. We're going to be bigger, better than ever. And the good news is, like I said, everybody's wearing a mask. And almost everybody, it seemed like there wasn't a pandemic going on because everybody was just doing what they were supposed to do. They just had their mask on and they were doing it. Kids were laughing, families were traveling, and everybody was being safe. On our airplane, everybody was socially distanced with their mask on. There was nobody sitting next to in the middle row of my plane. And again, we're getting back to it. But if you see what our government's doing to this country, it is absolutely it's horrifying that during a crisis they're making this political.
Politicians need to put the politics aside and do what they have been elected to do, take care of their citizens. And that applies to all politicians. Rather than personal gain, they need to pay attention to what is in the best interest of our country, short-term and long-term. And if they choose to do so, they will get reelected. Otherwise, sooner or later, people will come to realization what they have done, right or wrong, in choosing their politicians.
The one thing that people have to understand is people want authenticity, okay? And, there are some politicians that they look authentic, but they're not because they have their own constituents that they have to get reelected. So they look authentic, but then they play into their constituents, either on either side of the line. And we've never ever been so divided as a nation, and really as a world. And if somebody's authentic and somebody looks you in the eye and says, "Listen, this is the truth. This is a bunch of crap. Vote me in or don't vote me in. I don't give a crap." That would be my style if I ever ran for office. And either you get voted, or you don't get voted. Most of these guys don't need a job. They just have egos the size of America.
Anthony, you and I can talk about this for days and days. I know Glenn has different plans in mind, so I'm going to let it get back to Glenn and go ahead with it.
I do, because I want to celebrate you, Raj. Yeah, because people love you. In fact, We've got here, believe it or not, the CEO of Redline Hotel Corporation is saying how great you are, good man and a good leader. Man, it's so great to see CEOs of companies are doing this. But I bet you worked with John back in your Send It Wyndham days. That's correct, right?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, John is an amazing individual.
Let me ask you a question. When you're looking at a brand or you're looking at a hotel company and you're looking at, of course, you look at profitability, you're looking at selling franchises, but what is the most important part of building, and this is a big question, most important part of building a brand? You're an expert.
In my opinion, it comes down to a very simple thing, Anthony. What is the most important part of building a brand? Taking care of your guest. If a brand is designed to meet or exceed your guest expectations, your brand is going to be successful. If a brand is designed, clearly identified to show their guests that if they come here, they are safe, they are going to have the best experience, and we are going to provide amenities and services that will take care of their needs in the best possible manner. Ultimately, that takes care of investors as well. But the brands that are making decisions that are guest-centric are going to be the brand that will continue to be successful in the past.
And why do you think that so many brands lose their way?
Raj?
Anthony, I lost you for a second. I'm sorry.
Why do so many brands lose their way? Can you hear us, Raj?
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you, gentlemen.
All right, I'm gonna pull Raj. Raj, I'm gonna
me?
take you out. Yeah, we can hear you now. Let me take you out of the room and put you back in the room. Is that better, Raj? Can you hear us now?
So
it looks like Texas has something against you, Raj. They don't want you speaking. Can you hear us? Hello, hello.
All right, let's take Raj out and bring him back in. Maybe you figure that out for us.
Oh, you're back.
Basically, the question is,
all right.
What? Please take him out. And
I'll take him out. We'll get him fixed.
So the question is why do brands lose their way? And reason I'll answer the question. The reason I believe that they lose their way is people concentrate on the dollar. They concentrate on the balance sheet. They concentrate on the budgets. They concentrate on the forecast, and they don't concentrate on what Raj says. They don't concentrate on the customer and the employee. And I think that that's one of the reasons that a great brand will lose their way. And one of the reasons La Quinta is really done well is because they understand that you have to make money, but you also have to be guest-centric.
Right. I also think one of the things that brands miss is they fail to stick to what their brand promise was. What are the several solid tenets that the brand is based on? And a lot of times I see as time goes on, they add too many extensions. It starts to become watered down. It loses the essence of what it is. I think completely the opposite of like the Nomad that you're in right now, which has very clean understanding of what it is and what it wants to be.
Yeah, more importantly, know what it is. It knows what it's not. Right. It knows it's not a Las Vegas casino hotel. It knows it has its own brand that happens to be in Vegas, and it takes the essence of Vegas and it brings it in. It doesn't try to change to be a Vegas hotel. It is a hotel that is its own brand, its own DNA. But I want to get back to that for a second. One of the reasons I love doing Hotel Impossible is to show the complications of a hotel, all the different intricacies and all the different jobs in the hotel. If you think of Raj's job over his 25, 30-year career, think about what he's done. I mean, think about there's a person actually doing those kind of things. Nobody thinks about his job.
Right. Yeah. I'm curious to see how like you turn a brand from when we get Raj back, we talk about this. When you go from 200 hotels to well over 1,000 hotels, the trust that goes into that from the franchise community, because it's not just Raj selling, it's him building trust in people in order to get them to spend their money and get behind them, right? That's a huge commitment.
It comes down to everything I learned in kindergarten, right? Be nice to people and do what you say you're going to do. So if you look at a brand, what are the three components of a brand for somebody to buy a brand? One, is someone returning my phone calls and answering all my questions, not to sell me anything, but to answer my questions, number one. Number two, what are the other franchisees saying about the brand? Were they there during the pandemic? Were they there during the recession? Were they there during 9/11? How did they treat me? That vice president, that one vice president of a brand that's in charge of development could basically change the entire brand, good or bad. And number three, what is the profitability of the brand? What is the cost per hotel? And why does this brand stand out from all the other brands? Why should I do business with you? But as we saw, and we can mention a lot of them, when we're talking to different brand operators, there are some people that are really nice and real people oriented and you really want to be around. And there's some people that are deal makers. And I don't like being around deal makers. I like being around people that want to answer my questions, not cut a deal. Because sometimes I won't be able to cut the deal and sometimes I will. But at the end of the day, there's plenty of people that I'm still friends with that I never did business with just because I like the way we handled our meetings and our conversations.
Yeah, and that's really an important thing to do. And speaking of great brand builders, we got Michael Stengel coming back on a special show this coming Friday because that brand has done such amazing things out there. Kale Bacchus has a great comment. The brand in effect becomes a contract. We say La Quinta, and we know what we will get and trust that. The contract is really easy to break, though, and once you've done that, it's really hard to regain the trust. Absolutely great point, Kel, because there's a lot of brands that I like. And when I felt that they went against what they're supposed to be, that's when I lost interest in them. I don't get angry at them. I don't think about it too much. I just move on. Just like my cat. Right, Anthony?
When was the last time you had a Big Mac that didn't taste like a Big Mac?
Right. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I had Burger King once in London, and it tasted very different than the United States, and it threw me, and I would never have fast food again overseas again. All right, we think Raj is better. Boom, let's find out. Raj Trivedi returning to the show for a command performance. How are you, sir?
My goodness, I never thought technology could be this difficult.
That's great. Well, you sound much better. You look much better. Really glad that you're here. So, Raj, let's jump back into that conversation.
So, Anthony, that was a great question. What takes brands away from its course? I think what happens to the brands is that as growth takes place, investors have expectations, and they should. However, many a times brands start to compromise things for short-term gain, which proves to be detrimental in long term. Many a times properties get opened slightly prematurely. Many a times quality of the product gets compromised in the PIP process, product improvement plan process. Many a times the training that needs to be provided to the franchisee and their employee gets compromised. Many a time selection process of franchisee gets compromised because they can add a property to a good location. Now, these are all small matters, but ultimately it adds up. Guests just see the name on top of that hotel and they expect certain services or they come with certain level of expectations. But it starts trickling down when you start compromising into these small areas. And the other also element that makes big difference, brands get into a competition of amenities and facilities.
That's right.
And quite a lot of times, too much of amenities or too much of facility, are they whether guest-centric or are they simply brand's preference to make sure that they have one up on the competitive brand? And when they get into that type of environment, the compromise starts taking place. Franchise partners lose interest and trust in the brand, that are they out there to protect my best interest? And all of a sudden, the consistency gets compromised. And as these things take place at various facilities, the brand starts having impact into the wrong direction.
And I think what happens is when you're growing this brand so quickly, if you don't have people in mid-level management positions, VP positions, that can tell the leaders of the brand, slow down, we're going too fast. We're losing brand equity. We're losing our soul. But those people a lot of times are afraid to lose their job. I know there are people out there, friends of mine, that actually, want to hold things back sometimes because they're going too fast. And I think that's what really grows a brand the right way. When you grow just to grow, you lose it. And again, there are hotels out there that are cookie cutter, and those are fine because that's what guests want. They just want, I'm near an amusement park, I want breakfast for my kids, I want to sleep in a nice bed, and I want out. And then there are hotels like when I'm in now, the Nomad in Vegas, that they want a soul. So every brand or every hotel is different. But when you lose when you wrote what the soul of the hotel should be, or what the brand package should be, when you lose that for speed or for money, that's when brands go sideways. And I truly think, and I think this is true in any business, when mid-level managers cannot say the truth to the executive team is when you lose a company.
Amen to that, Anthony. I think what you're saying, in my opinion, is the culture. Culture matters. Culture of organization matters. And if you have the right culture, employee at all levels feel comfortable providing their feedback and thought. And management also needs to have that openness that employee at any and all level can provide you thoughts and feedback that could be incremental, valuable, and add something to your organization and ultimately the experience you're trying to provide. When that chain link breaks and when those employees cannot trust their supervisors or are afraid of losing their job and cannot provide that candid feedback, that's when you start seeing the issues. That's when you start seeing the service level drop, and all of a sudden it becomes a job. And when it becomes a job, that's the beginning of the end.
When was the last time that one of your employees, somebody who works on your team, came to you and had to say, "Hey, boss, I need to have a conversation," and maybe they were risking their job? Is there one moment that comes in place where somebody came in and said, "Hey, we're going the wrong direction," or "You need to look at this, and I know that you feel strongly, but please pay attention to this"? Is there one thing that resonates?
We were sitting in the middle of a franchise review committee meeting in the process of approving a 140-room hotel. And Edna Hernandez was our coordinator for franchise development. And as discussions were taking place, and it was a historic building, and a historic building was being converted into a hotel with certain limitations. And after all conversations took place, she raised her hand and said that, you know what, this does not look like the properties we generally approve. Yes, it is historic from outside, but our guests are not going to be able to come and meet their expectation. And you should have seen the faces of Department of Sales. What are you talking about? And to a certain extent, an hour of saying that, what do you know? And believe it or not, we decided not to take that hotel because she was right. She was right in making that correction to us. So that's the type of environment we had created, and that's what made it successful, my friend.
Wow, that's really important. All right, so we got a couple of questions for you now. We will talk about your latest venture in a second, but you're in a unique position now, have gone through the gauntlet in the franchise business. You're out of it now, so you don't have to be polite to what's going on right now. Bharat Patel is asking, and I was also thinking about this particular issue. What's going on right now with the brands versus the ownership? What are some of the major issues that they're dealing with right now? What should AHOA be doing? And what should brands be doing? And what should the individual owners be doing? Because what we've noticed over the last couple of years is there's been a lot of negativity fermenting in our business between the traditional franchisees and the traditional franchisors.
I think in today's environment, nothing is traditional. Traditional franchisors have certain expectations at their hotels. Brand need to understand that it is a time for their franchise partners' survival. Just as last week, I saw a number that if the correct aid or the bottom line is not paid attention to, 71% of hotels cannot survive. And can you imagine thinking that number in mind? I think owners need to continue to provide the best experience they can to their guests. Owners need to make sure that they provide clean, comfortable environment that is welcoming and provide needed amenities. brands need to understand and recognize the need of streamlining some of the amenities, some of the facilities, and provide that flexibility to the owners based on market occupancy and the need of the guest to adjust appropriately and maybe temporarily suspend some of the services or suspend some of the amenities or facilities that they may have. I think brand and owners need to work together. I think brands need to approach the lobbying, which they are very effectively in Washington, D.C., to get the next aid. Brands need to help owners with their financing institution so that they can work out any of the defaults or any challenges that they may have in their current financing, and so that they show it to the banks that, yes, these owners are valued owners to us. Yes, we have a long-term commitment. Yes, this environment is short-term, and we all will survive together. As association matters, they need to continue to provide education. They need to continue to lobby. They need to continue to listen to their franchisees in small forum, collect their information, represent it to the brand, represent it to the government officials, and appropriately define the next course of action for survival of our franchise partners, of our brands, and all together.
Right.
In order to get through this next moment in time, and I know that the hotel business will survive, and the 71%, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm optimistic based on human behavior. We forget and we travel. So hopefully it'll be a lot less than that. But what I'm afraid of is that the brands, because they are going to be streamlined when they come out of this, there's going to be a lot of executives that don't have jobs. It's just going to be, that's just the fact. They're going to be doing a lot more less. Do you think that some of the franchise owners are going to just be cut loose? Do you think the small, maybe 2-3 property hotel owners are going to be cut loose and be pipped to death? So they just concentrate on the bigger guys that can bring more franchises into the market?
America is the society of small entrepreneurs. Our economy is made of small entrepreneurs. I hope brands don't become that short-sighted to understand that ultimately their success comes from that 1, 2, or 3 franchise property owners that are into small towns, that are into small getaways. The big owners have interest only into right market, right area. They may have interest in the top 50 markets. So ultimately, the distribution that you see that various brands enjoy today is possible only because of that small owner. And if you look at realistically into the portfolio of ownership, majority of the owners are small owners. There are small number of owners that have multiple properties. And brands need to remember that. Brand needs to remind themselves that that's what's going to continue to bring success to them going forward into the future. And those are the people they need to pay attention to, because ultimately, as you say, industry will come back. As you say, travelers will go back. But at that point in time, if these people are not treated right, they will remember, and that will have some impact on the future growth of the brand.
So let me ask you this then, Raj, when you're talking about that, in the future, do you think that the brands and the hotel owners are going to come together in a more meaningful way and help propel our industry forward once things seem to get back in line?
I think historically that has already happened, Glenn. If you look at last 25 years from, the fair franchising momentum onto everything else, today brands listen to their franchise partners more than ever. Today, brands meet with their franchise partners more than ever. Today, I think brands recognize that their long-term success comes from the success of their franchise partner and the guest at the hotel. Obviously, as you move forward into the future, how effectively brands involve their franchise partner into their conversations and future direction, policy decisions, it is going to make brands even more successful, because these people are entrepreneurs. They are frontline entrepreneurs. They experience guests more than many of the brands do.
Right.
In today's day and age, brands do not own hotels. They may have some management, but that is also limited. So franchise partners become even more essential for ongoing success of the brand and the policies that you decide.
So let's do a quick history lesson. When Raj is referring to fair franchising, what he talks about is an early on effort for a HOA. One of the reasons why they were actually created in order to make sure that the individual investors were getting a fair deal with the terms of the agreements when it came to franchising. There was a common belief that the brands were taking too much advantage back in the day, and HOA did a great job at moving all of those issues forward and having them handled. And Raj, I got to agree with you, over the last 15 years or so, I've seen a lot of movement by ownership boards partnering better with the franchise companies, especially when it comes to, we're going to create a new brand or we're going to do this particular program. Hey, owners, what do you think? So I think a lot of times we like to complain about and just, whine about the relationships, but there is a lot of positive things that have happened in the last 15, 20, 25 years as well.
Without a doubt. I mean, every relationship that you get into have positives and some challenges, and it's okay. There are times that you agree to disagree because the expertise matter. When it comes to loyalty programs, when it comes to brand marketing, when it comes to the brand profile, or when it comes to today's way of advertising, CRM, many of the different things, brand may understand it better than franchise partners may. When it comes to property level, or when it comes to housekeeping, amenities, facilities, and the plans, floor plans of the hotel, maybe franchise partners understand as well or better in many cases as brands do. So people need to respect each other's expertise and take advantage of it in the best possible way to formulate the future course of action.
Right. Anthony?
And to be fair, most franchisees would never be able to have
Anthony, we are having technical issues with you, my friend.
Uh-oh, you can't hear Anthony?
He's blurring.
Uh-oh.
I can hear you very well, Glenn.
Well, I'm trying to keep Anthony down because of my ego. I need to be able to speak freely these days. Let's pull Anthony out and back in.
Anthony cannot be kept down.
No, Anthony can. Oh, he's gone again. Now he's totally offline. Well, this is a fun show filled with technical things. So Gordon Storm says, big brand is knocking down on my door now for military business, but when times were good for them, they didn't have time for us. We're staying with those that were loyal to us in the good times. Raj, if you were still in that type of universe, what would you do to make sure that the loyalty felt like it was more equitable and went both ways?
I think brands need to do everything in their power to support their franchisees, from accessing more business at a local level, to adjusting their fees, to deferring their fees, to providing them assistance into different areas, working with their lenders to build confidence in them so the franchise owners can do the appropriate adjustments to their loan. Brands need to exhibit their power and their willingness to go out of their way to provide assistance to franchise partners at all levels necessary at this stage in time.
But let me ask you a question. Can you hear me now, Glenn?
I can. We can hear you much better.
Okay. So when you look at Marriott in the beginning of the pandemic, immediately they kind of cut everything. They basically cut their executive team, and they basically laid a lot of people off, furloughed a lot of people, unpackaged a lot of people. And so when you have a major company like Marriott, who I think did a good job in the beginning to try to save their entire company, that tells me, as an outsider looking in, there's not a lot of fat. There's just not a lot of money there to keep this organization up and going, to help the franchisees at a real level, to help them with financing, to help them, advocate. Of course they're advocating, but to keep their employees. I mean, one of the ways they advocate is to keep all the executives on payroll to help the franchisees move forward. When you have one person, it used to have one person to call. Now you used to have like 7 hotels for one person. Now you have a hotel for one person if you're a brand VP. So how does a hotel brand, whether it be Marriott, Hilton, or IHG, how do they help the franchisees when there's not a lot of skin on the bone for them? The fees seem like a lot for our hotels, but really when you have this big organization, there's a lot of money that goes into that. And you know that better than anybody. So how's that work?
You are so right about that. I think right sizing is the key phrase here, in my opinion. Yes, if the brands or the companies cannot exist, then franchise owners will have much deeper issues. So I totally recognize and understand in the early stages of what the brands and the companies did in furloughs and layoffs and various other things. However, it now we have come to realize that for a short period of time we saw the uptick till we had some COVID situations escalating again. So right sizing is the key. So put things into priority is the key. So we may have less employees, but nobody's building new hotels, or very few people are building new hotels. What are their needs? Brand need to sit down with the ownership, and executives that are left or the team that is left need to focus on current priorities that can assist franchisees to survive. And as time changes and as you can bring the rest of the team back into the fold, you can get back to other side of the things. So I think right sizing your employee level, and many of the companies have brought back quite a lot of people already, and focusing on what the current priorities are rather than compartmentalizing it or departmentalizing it, and not pay attention to it, or say that, oh, I am not involved in it. The brands need to stand up and cross-train their executive teams, which they are already, and address the issues of franchisees in a succinct fashion based on current priorities.
So if you were going to open up a new company, a new brand new brand, okay, and you were going to rival one of the big brands, what's the one thing you would not do? What's the one thing that you would say, we're not doing this? We're going to be completely different. We're not doing this. What would it be?
That's a great question. I haven't even thought about it. In my opinion,
think fast, brother.
in my opinion, what I would do differently than what I would not do, I would take the efficiency knowledge into my belt before I introduce the brand from franchise partners. Efficiency in plans of the hotel, efficiency in operations of the hotel, efficiency in providing technology that can create for them better savings in labor costs or some of the other area, efficiencies that provide the margins that our hotel industry has lost in the last 10 years. What has become more challenging to franchise owners and franchise partners is reduced ROI, and that continues to be issue now and going forward into the future because of various different things: construction costs, labor costs, litigation costs, and all of the above, amenity costs, facility costs. So I would pay more attention to incorporating efficiencies in all level of operations. That includes efficiencies in fee structures also, because there is so much to be done today. I cannot continue to tax franchisees unless they have return on investment.
Right. Interesting. So, I speaking of efficiencies, I've got the La Quinta behind me. I remember when you all rolled out the Del Sol prototype, you were very focused on efficiencies, making sure that like the laundry room was a couple of steps away instead of being at another part of the building and all that. So that sort of thing is in your head. But now, it's starting to get towards 1 o'clock. So I do want to talk about what you're up to now. I'll say, quote unquote, retired from La Quinta. Then you kind of start to refocus about what you're doing. And now through TSC Capital Partners, you're making investments and you've become chairman of the board over at Virdee, a technology company that's really looking at contactless guest interactions and operational efficiencies and stuff like that. Why not stay in the hotel business proper? What makes you interested about a company like Virdee? And what does this all mean to you in your life right now?
I'm very much into hotel business. So as I was a part of brand building, as I was a part of real estate ownership and real estate transactions, I realized that some of the technology that hotel companies introduced were not creating efficiencies or were not beneficial to the hotel owners and, more importantly, to the guest. As I stated earlier, every decision should be made based on guest expectations and guest experience. our guests or we as consumers are now so used to using technology at any other place that we go to, whether it's a grocery store, whether it's a shopping mall, or whether it's an airline, that you are so entwined with technology and things make so efficient for you. Time is money, and people want to save as much time as they can. And particularly coming into a hotel, when you're coming so late at night or late in the afternoon when front desk is so busy, you want to finish your transaction and get to your room as quickly as possible. We at La Quinta were searching for similar technology for a long period of time. I decided to affiliate myself with Virdee because I found that the technology that Virdee offers is a complete technology that can meet or exceed guest expectation, that can provide revenue savings opportunity to owners, not just only on labor costs, but also in fraudulent credit card processing. And also, the biggest mandate we have had as a hotel industry is human trafficking. By checking background of the guest, you can prevent any of the bad elements coming to your hotel. So we are doing good services in various different ways. So I was very, very impressed with the technology that Virdee has put together, and that's why I decided to become a part of it.
That's pretty awesome. And of course, they got a $2 million seed round of funding back in September. That's pretty exciting. So, when, as chairman of the board, what is your role for a company like this? How in it every day are you, Raj?
I'm not into it every day. There are two very capable individuals, the founders of the company that are running the company, Nadav and Brannigan. I do provide assistance on a very regular basis. My job is to introduce them to the hotel industry. My job is to bring it to the forefront of hotel industry and have them recognize what a great technology it is. My job is to provide them my feedback and what is needed to be done to make this technology efficient, make this technology result-oriented, make this technology that can meet or exceed guest expectations. But more importantly, it creates the greatest value proposition for the hotel owners as well, and the brands.
You know what you should do in order to get it out to the hotel industry? You should be on that show, Checking with Anthony and Glenn. It gets a lot of people. Everybody in the hotel industry is listening to it, so you should get on their show.
Yeah, including CEOs of hotel companies. Yeah, Raj.
Anthony, thank you for telling me that. I'm going to call Anthony right after I hang up here.
Yeah, awesome. I love that. All right, so you're investing now. Where do you think the best place to deploy your cash is right now? Not specific companies, but sectors.
I think real estate will continue to remain a good sector. Within the next 6 months or 8 months, you're going to have some good opportunities to get into hotel industry. And sadly, if we do not see a good stimulus package that may happen, I hope it doesn't happen. I think some of the technology sectors continue to be a good investment, in my opinion, too. And what brands or what segment will come back sooner and remain sustainable? In my opinion, select services will be the fastest recovered segment. Focus services will be the fastest recovered segment. So you will still continue to have an opportunity of growth into those segments of our industry going forward into the future.
I'm not a person that says this part of our industry is going to change forever. I don't like when people say that, but I'm starting to feel the big convention hotels are changed forever. I think that when you see these developments, I think they're going to be percentage smaller. I don't think you're going to see these major, massive convention hotels being built anymore. Am I right or wrong?
I think that already has happened, Anthony. If you look at the history of last 20 years in the United States, internationally, you have started seeing some big convention hotels, which did not exist in the past. But in the United States, there are only a few big convention hotel development that have taken place. One in DC, a couple in other places. So you're already seeing that trend because now people have come to realize that by having few multiple flag focus service, select services property, upper mid-market properties into the downtowns of various places can create operational efficiency, can also create much better environment to distribute your leverage and risk factor too. And also you can take advantage of multiple reservation system. So to a certain extent that has already happened. it will continue to grow going forward into the future.
So what happens to these big convention hotels that exist now? What are they going to do?
I think so. As you stated, in my opinion, the group business will come back. No question about it. We have traditionally seen in last 30 years, when we have the peaks, these hotels have the peaks of the peaks. When we have valley, these hotels have the valley of the valley. So we are going through that right now. It may take a little longer. There will be some value proposition. There will be some acquisitions. There will be some consolidation within the companies. But at the end of the day, 2-3 years down the road, we are the people that like to socialize. We like to conduct business in person. We like to have those conventions and conferences so that we can exchange idea and network. So you will see that coming back as well.
Right. Following up on what Raj said, for those of you who don't know the nuances of the business, you're not going to see a lot more of these hotels, with the exception of maybe Gaylord's going to build another one because they want to keep people within the Gaylord ecosystem, or you might see something in Vegas. But other than that, the only way you'll see new projects is if there's a new convention center expansion or other demand drivers, such as a new stadium being put in with a whole entertainment complex, that sort of thing. Other than that, I think we're pretty much filled up with those types of hotels. So it's not necessarily COVID that's causing it. It's long-standing factors that were already in the marketplace that are happening. It just seems like these hotels are in trouble right now because of what's going on. And there's Raj again. All right, great. So Anthony, I know we got to get wrapping up. You've got some meetings to go to and all of that kind of stuff. Raj, how about some final thoughts from you? How can we find you? How can we get access to all that money you're giving away? Because I could use some.
I have been watching you two gentlemen doing such a great job for our industry through your show. Keep up the good work. You are raising some great topics. You're having some phenomenal conversations. You are educating next generation on how they could be successful. Wish when I was young, we had something like this to review, study, and understand. So congratulations, Anthony. Congratulations, Glenn.
Thanks.
Keep up the great work. And I'm very, very proud of you, Glenn, for what you have done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, Raj has known me since I was like a little cub reporter back in the 1990s.
I have known you for 30 years as well, so I can say this, that I'm very, very proud of your
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that.
Well, Raj, when it comes from a person like you that's been in this industry for so long, it means a lot to me. And when I was a young pup coming up in this industry, I just told this to Glenn. My dream was to go to Vegas and people knew my name and people put me in beautiful suites and people sent me my best scotch and people put a record player in my room. And I wanted that. You know, I wanted to be a person that was in this industry and was recognized, not so much for me, but for what I can help with the industry. And now that we're in that position, it's really a blessing that you said that. And I really don't think it doesn't go deep to my heart. So I truly appreciate it. And thank you for everything you've done for the industry. And also, please let me get your cell phone, Glenn. I'm sure you have a cell phone because we have a project that we're working on. I'd like to know more about your technology.
I would love to, and anytime I can make any contribution to join your team or group to have a frank and open conversation, let me know.
Yeah,
thank you, gentlemen.
We'd love to have you back. Thank you. Be sure to check out Virdee, Virdee. Virdee. Thank you, Raj. Have a great afternoon. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. Another great show. A little rough at first because of some of the technology challenges, but Raj is such a cool guy, and it's great to see him unrestrained by not having to toe the brand lines anymore.
You know what's great is I've been in billions of meetings, it seems, and when you have a guy like Raj in that meeting, it immediately takes a different turn by his demeanor, the way he articulates his thought, the way he allows for others to think. When I know you had to go back, you had to go on to kind of what he's doing now, but I thought and I really wanted to discuss it more. But
we have to get him back to talk more about that.
I really, that moment where that young lady was able to, with other people in the room that have outranked her, and she was able to say, hey, this is great, this is wonderful, historic, but our brand proposition is not going to be felt by your guest, and that's a problem. When I tell you what he said was people were gasping or like, oh my God, trust me, I've been in those meetings when people have stepped up, and I was like, yes, but a lot of people get themselves in trouble when they have the wrong boss in the room. All right, buddy, I got to run. I know
you've got to run. You've got a meeting. I'll wrap this show up without you. Guys,
no,
stick
wrap
around.
Wrap it up.
All right.
Wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up real quick. Everybody, thanks Best Buy. We really appreciate you supporting us. Make sure you support Best Buy. Go to bestbuy.com/hospitality and learn about them. I'm very excited to have them on board. Subscribe to our newsletter. Text the word hotel to 6686. We're here every single day. Tomorrow, we've got Erin Berman on. Of course, she is with the mental health department at the National Institute of Health, the government organization, to help us a little bit find our way through what's going on. Anthony, any final thoughts from you, sir?
Yes, unfortunately, I probably will not be making that because I have these other meetings I'm going to be doing. But I just want to say about Best Buy, it's not just for your house, it's for your hotel. So thank you, Best Buy.
Excellent. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Well, I'll see you tomorrow. Who knows what's going on with Anthony, the big player over there building his own hotel project. All right, everybody. Thanks. Remember, you've got one life, so blaze on, and
be kind to yourself and be kind to Glenn.
Right. Yeah, I could use a little of that. See you all tomorrow.